Hey all, so Yoshi P has made a statement/announcement in regards to the use of third-party tools and the supposed cheating in the most recent Ultimate. Now, there seems to be confusion when it comes to third-party software and what is permissible. I've been of the mindset that it's all bad, so I don't use any of it. But let's see what Yoshi P has to say on the subject. And right off the bat, Yoshi P says that, begin quote, "As stated in the terms of service for Final Fantasy XIV, the use of third-party tools is strictly prohibited. Players who are determined to be using third-party tools will have their accounts suspended or permanently banned for repeat offenses." End quote. So, as you can see, there really is no gray in that statement. Yoshida flat out says that all third-party tools are prohibited. If you are using any kind of third-party software, you really are just rolling the dice on what happens to your account. Then Yoshida says that it would be impossible to check every PC to see if they are using these third-party programs. So what they have to do is prioritize the violations. And Yoshida gives us 4 examples of how they go about this. Number 1, the use of tools that allow players to more easily complete content. Number 2, the modification of the UI to display additional information. Number 3, the use of packet spoofing tools. This will be covered a little bit more in the hacking section. And number 4, any actions or public statements that promote the use of third-party tools. But what does that mean for tracking your damage? I think that's the one that players are the most interested in, and there's no mention of it explicitly here. But it does fall under the purview of a third-party program. So, the general consensus tends to be that if you are using damage meters, just don't go around advertising them by posting the numbers in chat, and don't disparage other players for their damage. I just kind of wish that the developers would add the ability to track your damage as a function within the game. It feels a bit weird. You aren't allowed to use them by the language written in the terms of service. But if you aren't being obnoxious with them, then it's seemingly alright. But you still could get in trouble for using them since it's third party and against the terms of service. And this is a loop that can go on forever. Anyways, I still find some of the violations that get priority to still feel kind of vague. What do they mean by tools that allow players to more easily complete content? My guess would be tools that give timers for boss mechanics and or call out boss mechanics. Or maybe tools that hack, which will be covered in a bit. But there are other ways an encounter can be made easier as well. As an example, an encounter can be made significantly easier with some of the UIs that I've seen, made possible with the use of third-party software. These UIs just change the way that information that has always been available is presented. For example, they make it easier to track a player's cooldowns, buffs, and debuffs. These are elements that you could always see and move around, but the third-party software allows for many more options on how they are displayed. This is not additional information, it's always been there on your screen, it's just changing how it's presented. And when you really think about it, a damage meter isn't additional information either, it's just taking what is already in the battle log, something we can all see, and if we really wanted to, we could take out a calculator, or Excel, to figure out our DPS on our own, but the damage meter does it automatically, giving us the information in a much more digestible way. Anyways, let's continue on and look at hacks, mods, and risk of infection from malicious software. So, hacking is a big no-no, obviously, and allows for, and I quote, alterations of a program that can allow for otherwise impossible things to happen. End quote. The example given here is a program that sends false packet information to change the location of a character. This seems fairly straightforward. When you are altering data packets in an attempt to get some kind of in-game advantage, that's not even remotely in the gray. There is no argument to be had here. It is flat out cheating. Now, Yoshida comments that it's much harder to hack Final Fantasy XIV because it uses server-client communication, which means that most of the data is held on their servers, and not on the player's PC. He also mentions that they are constantly improving their security measures. So, Yoshida ends this section by expressing that some third-party tools and plugins contain viruses and spyware in them, because a lot of people out there suck, and of course they would do that. Anyways, the advice is make sure you know the origins of the program, and to be careful. Next up, Yoshida clarifies more on the enhancements to the HUD and other UI elements. Begin quote. We believe that the people use the aforementioned tools to expand the HUD and display more information because they feel that the existing functions are insufficient for tackling high-end duties. In recognition of this, we intend to review the most prominent tools, and in order to discourage their use, endeavor to enhance the functionality of the HUD. Though it will take some time, we are determined to make it happen, not least for the benefit of those who play on consoles. End quote. You know, I think it's great that the developers are so informed on what players are looking for in their UI, and also taking steps to improve it. The UI is certainly serviceable, but it could be made a lot better. I have to admit, while I don't use any third-party programs, I do wish that I could make my UI look like some of the ones that I've seen on Twitch. I did come from World of Warcraft, where I could make my UI look however I wanted. And while I don't miss the vast majority of add-ons from World of Warcraft, I do somewhat miss being able to make my UI look exactly as I wanted. If the difficulty of the fight is predicated on the UI, well, I would say that's not good. The next section would be high-end duties and world-first races. Now, for this I'm going to paraphrase. Basically, Yoshida said that all the content is created and beaten in-house without any third-party programs. So it's designed to be beaten with the tools that the game gives you. You know, that is such a key thing to keep in mind. The encounters, they are designed and balanced around the tools that the game has. They are not designed around players using third-party programs. And I can't stress this enough. That is awesome. Now, Yoshida asks that players in the races refrain from using these third-party programs, since the encounters aren't designed around them, and it would keep the races more fair. The unfortunate thing that came out of this is, Yoshida feels that maybe by offering congratulations on Twitter to the teams that achieve the world first, that it breeds excessive competition for that recognition, and he may stop doing it in the future if he feels players are compelled to use these programs in order to get that recognition. Now, while I think getting a personalized congratulations from Yoshida would be amazing and a worthy reason to want to get world first, I think that these teams do it for other reasons. The next topic was data mining and screenshot leaks. Alright, so let's start with the screenshot leaks. So, the one for the new Ultimate is believed to have come from an insider, and they are investigating who it might have been. This is pretty despicable. If you were given the honor to see and experience content early, what an abuse it is to then take and leak screenshots. Yoshida gave an example of a big leak from Shadowbringers, where the culprit was caught and legal action was taken against them. So, I don't see how it's worth it for the few minutes of attention when there can be real legal ramifications. Now, this is different from data mining, which occurs when a patch has already been released and downloaded to a player's client. I don't know much about data mining, but I always thought it was perfectly fine once the data was legally downloaded and stored on your computer. But Yoshida said, and I quote, that there could be legal ramifications from mining private data via illicit means to make it public. End quote. Regardless, I'm sure that the development team aren't a fan of players data mining the content and showing it all before anyone even had the ability to experience it in-game. That can take away a lot of the surprise, you know? The last topic brought up was server emulation. Apparently, some have speculated that groups had emulated servers to figure out the progression timeline for the newest Ultimate before the patch went live. Yoshida comments that this is impossible because, and I quote, Final Fantasy XIV is run by a variety of independent programs operating on a multitude of specialized servers, so to completely emulate its server's environment outside of our infrastructure is impossible. End quote. So, in short, the servers cost a fortune, and they are run with proprietary programming. Even if someone was able to somehow get their hands on one of these very expensive servers and crack the programming, Yoshida says that it would still be impossible because the scripts that run the encounters are not even in the patch data downloaded to the player's clients. That data is server-side only. Well, that is everything. What is your takeaway from all this? I always enjoy hearing Yoshida's insights on these sort of topics. When it came to the third-party programs, which I think is what most players were interested in, I feel like there is a line, and players know what that line is. And if you cross it, well, you know. Anyways, that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you all have a great week. If you enjoyed this, please consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribing. Thanks again, and take care.